Hello and welcome to this installment of the Mastercard Memorial Cup recap here on WeTV. My name is Domenic Papa and very pleased to have in the studio with us our guest analyst for today's show. No stranger to winning, and he won 2 Memorial Cups with the Windsor Spitfires back in 09 and 10. Played briefly in the NHL as a career-ending injury cut him short. Otherwise, it would have been a long NHL career. One of my favorite players for a long time. Eric Wellwood joins us. Welcome to the broadcast, Eric.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you back in town. And, of course, you're working in Flint now as an assistant coach. Got those guys into the playoffs. You had a nice season there, didn't you?
Yeah, we were extremely happy with the progress that we've made. I think there was a lot of things that needed to be done, and not just from the way that we were playing the game. I think it was all the culture base that we had to go in there and establish ourselves in the way that we're going to play. And I think a lot of people got a taste of how the Firebirds are going to play from here on out.
Yeah, really nice to see the progress there, that was for sure. And, of course, I saw a lot of them working in Saginaw, and you guys really beat us up quite a bit this year, so it was a pretty tough year that way. But great to see you and Coach Houlihan there and doing a really good job with that young squad, so congrats on that. Obviously, Game 1 took place last night at the Mastercard Memorial Cup, an electric atmosphere at the Windsor Family Credit Union Center. The hometown team, the Windsor Spitfires, everybody's worried about that 6-week layoff, including this guy right here, Eric Wellwood. I tell everybody the opposite, to be honest with you. I kind of said I'm not surprised. I'm sure Coach Thompson and GM Reichel and we had Bob Bugner back to help out the last couple of weeks. These guys kind of know what they're doing. They had the boys ready, but you were a little bit surprised up there.
I was extremely surprised. I think you're going into a game that you haven't played in 6 weeks, and you're not just going into an exhibition game. You're going to play a league champion, and that's the difference. They've been playing hockey at the highest level that they've been able to play at for a big stretch of this time. And for Windsor, they're coming off extremely cold. So I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously,
Sure.
Being a Windsorite, I got to cheer for the home team. But you know what? Yeah, I was impressed by the way that they played. I think they had a great game, not just offensively, but defensively as well. And everybody seemed to be competing, and that's when everybody's competing on this Windsor team, they are a very dangerous team.
Maybe the surprise last night then, Eric, was how St. John played, and even Coach Dan Flynn, you'll hear from him on this show, he just simply said our guys didn't play as well. They got beat by a better team on the night, and maybe that was a little bit surprising that the first 2 periods, anyways, I wasn't overly impressed with this team, and like you said, they're a league champion.
Well, I think I don't want to make excuses for them, but when you come into this tournament, especially the first time coming into this tournament, there's a lot of things going on that are out of your comfort zone. The media is everywhere. Every mistake is magnified, and I think the players understand that. And a lot of times it seemed to me, watching the game last night, they were very hesitant, and they weren't trying to play. They were just seeing what happens and feeling things out, where Windsor was trying to win the game, and they were trying to win the game from the first period on. And I think that's one difference now that you're going to see Seattle. I'm going to predict right now that their next game, they're going to come out and you're going to see, St. John's, you're going to see a completely different team.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the players and the coaching staff understanding that, okay, this is just a regular hockey game. They got their feet wet. But hopefully for their sake and their cause that they don't have to take this next period off. Their next game, they got to be ready to play. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more on that, though, Welly. I said that last night as well, that we'll see a different St. John team in game number 2. And a perfect testament is that. I go back to you guys in 09, where you lost your first game, and everybody's, this is it. No reason to panic there.
No, there's definitely no reason to panic, but I think you got to have some urgency. I think when you look back at my experience, especially our first year playing in the Memorial Cup in Rimouski, I think we came out like St. John's did last night. We were very flat. We weren't pushing the play like we typically do. We seemed to be focused on things that were out of our control, whether it be, again, the media. You're in a different city that you've never been into, playing against a different league, essentially, and the different styles. And you forget that you have to play your game, because your game is what got you here. And for our case, we were one of the only teams in history to go back and come back and win going down 0-2. So. Yep. You don't want to lose those first 2 games because now the odds are stacked against you. It's obviously possible if they have a very resilient group, especially character-wise, from their coaching staff down. they can obviously do that, and it's been done before. I don't suggest doing it that way.
No.
But definitely, hopefully, for their cause, they can come out and get a win the next game they play.
And I think on a positive note for St. John Welly, and you mentioned urgency, and I did see that towards the end of the game yesterday, where they took over the last several minutes and really pushed the Spitfires up against the wall. And that game that we kind of, I think, all expected from St. John was there. And I'm sure Coach Flynn will take that, bring it into that next game.
Well, I'm not going to tell them how to coach, obviously, but I would suggest that is what the players are going to take away from. This is what happens when we play. We can obviously, they score 2 quick goals relatively quickly the last 3 minutes in the game. That when they play their style, they're a very dangerous team. And I think for the kids' sake, they got to see that when they do play their style, that they are effective. And I don't want to take anything away from Windsor. They played an outstanding game, deserved to win that game 100%. But for St. John's, I think that they got a little taste of how they have to play in order to have success in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan Flynn would agree with you, though. That he put it, and you'll hear it in our report. Speaking of what it looked like, let's take a look at some of the highlights from last night. This is courtesy of our friends at Rogers Sportsnet. Spitfires and Sea Dogs getting out of the gates. Like I said earlier, there was a lot of electricity in the building. Nice pregame ceremony to kick off the competition on the ice. And the St. John Sea Dogs come into this tournament with a lot of expectations, high expectations. This is an older team that has been built for this year. This is their run year. You can see Michael DiPietro was tested early on. There's the first goal of the game from Jeremiah Addison. Addison, I'll tell you what, I saw Addison in Saginaw when he was there. You're familiar with him, obviously, Welly. This kid, I can't say enough about Jeremiah Addison.
He's an outstanding player, and he is at his most effective when he is physical, when he is working his hardest. That's when you're going to see Jeremiah Addison at his best.
And there you see some nerves. It's nerves, isn't it, Welly?
Oh, definitely. Again, you're out of your comfort zone. Even for Windsor being in their hometown, you're all of a sudden in this tournament that every mistake is magnified, and anything that happens, could be a make or break for your tournament.
Jeremy Bracco making it 2-0. Again, one of the reasons why he was brought in, Welly, was to score goals. He scores a great goal there. They're up 3-0 at this point, and this is where it became very intense. A goal right there cuts it to 3-1. This is with just about 3 minutes to go or so, and St. John has their goalie out of the net, take full advantage, and here it is right there. They make it 3-2 here in a moment, and then they have a chance to tie it right there. And here's another shot that goes right off the post and straight back out under Michael DiPietro. They get a break there. This game went right down to the wire, Eric, and again, this is what we talked about with St. John. Great stuff that the Spitfires hung on, but St. John, showed that urgency that we just talked about.
Thanks, Dom, and folks, boy, did we have
what they're capable of doing.
Well, I think
if we can get back to the scoring summary there, guys, for just a moment before we run the video clip. But again, Bracco and Addison, I thought were outstanding last night, Eric. I thought they took the team and led the way they're expected to. Luchuk, this kid just continues to play well. He doesn't get a lot of the publicity or anything, but he's just consistent.
Yeah, he definitely is, and I remember him as a 16-year-old when I was helping out Windsor while I was rehabbing my injury, and he was definitely a player that stood out to me that would be capable of having success in this league, and he's certainly done that.
You see the 3 stars were Jeremy Bracco, Chabot, and Mikhail Sergachev of the Spitfires. Shots were even, 22 for St. John, 23 for Windsor. The bulk of St. John's shot came in that last 7 minutes, though, because they only had like 13 shots midway through the third period.
Well, certainly you see when they play with desperation that they can pile on the shots and scoring chances.
Mm-hmm. Power plays, St. John 1 for 5, Windsor 1 for 4. Booth gets takes the loss, and DiPietro grabs the win. And Spitz win was their 9th straight Memorial Cup competition. That goes back to Eric Wellwood and the gang, where losing just wasn't in the vocabulary there. So good stuff. Let's now go to our Bill Kelso. He had some game reaction from last night's Spitfire victory. Bill?
Thanks, Dom, and folks, boy, did we have a fantastic game here at the WFCU Center. Windsor Spitfires knocking off St. John's 3-2 in Game 1 of the tournament. The home team wins. Spitfires, after a long layoff, really started off strong. They were the better team for almost 45 minutes. Had a 3-0 lead. The St. John's Hockey Club made it really close, got a power play marker with a little over 3 minutes left, and then scored again on a deflection. Pulled their goalkeeper, but the Spitfires held the fort, got that all-important first win. And boy, oh boy, this sets up the tournament very nicely for the Windsor Spitfires. Of course, their next game is Sunday against Seattle, but get this first game in. I always say, one game at a time, and the Windsor Spitfires, folks, really did the job tonight. Everybody can be proud, and we're really looking forward to the next time out. Coach, I think your solid start got rid of the jitters pretty quick.
Yeah, we did. It was really fast, and that was something we wanted to do. We wanted to have about 30-second shifts so we could get through our full rotation up front, and with our defensemen, everybody could get a touch, maybe get a hit, not get tired, and then as we started to go, we could add a little, maybe 5 seconds to each shift, kind of topping out at the 40-second mark is what we were trying to do, so we could keep some pace to our game. I think our conditioning was good. Actually, has been a big focus for us over the last 6 weeks, was so we could put the gas to the floor, take advantage of those TV timeouts, and continue to play a high-tempo game, which is what we wanted to do, and I think we were able to accomplish that tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Right from the start, from old Canada right on through, right to the rest of the game. They were loud, they were rowdy. It was good to see it. It's exciting to be a Spitfire right now.
From this game, what do you guys need to build on? Is there an area of the game that you think you can improve still?
I think all over the ice, right? Just keep getting better. It's a long but short tournament, so we just got to keep getting better each game.
I think we played great. I'm really liked our start. We kind of knew how skilled they were coming in the game, and I think we wanted to catch them on their heels. And I think we did a really good job. And I think throughout the whole game, I think we kept up the intensity, and we know they're a great team, so we had to respect them, but we had to follow our game plan too.
As a goaltender, you didn't get into the game right away. They didn't have a lot of shots on you right away, so how did you stay focused that way?
Yeah, it's tough when you have too many shots. When the shots do come, they're scoring chances. I think with the way the team was playing, the crowd, I think kept me engaged in the game. I wanted to do the best I can for my team, and I think we did a good job as a whole team to obviously get the win.
Yeah, it felt good for sure to get the first win. That's huge in a tournament like this, and we're going to enjoy it for a couple more minutes here, and then we're going to move on and start preparing for the next game.
Any nerves?
Yeah, for sure. I think all four teams have nerves. It's the national championship on the line, so nerves are good if you want to harness it into energy. So I think we did that and had a good start.
Talk about the physical play.
Yeah, the game was physical and not a lot of penalties, but they played hard and they have some big guys who can hit and
Finish their checks.
Yes, they do. Even though if it's 3 seconds late, but it doesn't matter in this game. So.
Coach Flynn, talk to me about the offensive output tonight, the lack of shots, and then there didn't seem to be a lot of urgency in your team's game.
They did a good job hemming us in. We got frustrated. We couldn't get much going on the forecheck. We did get possession in their zone. They were able to generate some chances, especially from the point. They did a great job blocking out. They were better in a lot of areas than us and deserved to beat us.
Flynn, Eric, obviously straight to the point. He just said the Spitfires were simply better than them in a lot of areas, and I think that is the case. He knows the game better than myself, that's for sure. But if you watch the game, that's what you saw.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought if you were paying attention, Windsor arguably could have scored 4, 5, 6 goals within the first period or two. And you give credit to Booth, their goaltender. He stood on his head when they needed to. He gave his team a chance ultimately to almost capitalize and tie the game at the end of the third period. But again, I would definitely agree with him that they were on their heels all game until they finally could establish some offensive zone time, and that didn't come until the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah. We talked about what St. John could do with this game and take that last 5 minutes that you just mentioned, bring it into the next game. What about the Spitfires? What do they take from this game, Wally, and make sure they duplicate in their game too, and maybe want to do a little bit better as well?
Well, I think for one thing, it just proves that they can play at this level. They weren't a league champion. They're obviously in this tournament by way of being a host. They are very capable of winning this league, obviously playing against them numerous times this year. If you look at their roster, they got some high-end players that are going to be in the NHL. So in saying that, I think for their cause, it shows that they can win in this tournament. As far as the little hiccup that they had, I think the biggest thing is just forgetting about that. Again, you're playing against league champions who are resilient and are determined to win. and those things are just going to happen. I don't think you even think about the last 5 minutes for their game. They play an outstanding 55 minutes, and if they just continue that throughout the tournament, they're going to have success.
Yeah, they'll be all right, that's for sure. Speaking of the tournament, here's what the schedule looks like as we head into day 2 of the competition. Of course, last night, 3-2 victory for the Spitfires. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, less than 3 hours from now, about 2 hours and 45 minutes from now, the Erie Otters, the OHL champions, will take on the Western Hockey League champions, the Seattle Thunderbirds. Then, of course, the Spitfires back in action tomorrow. This will be an evening game. They go back to the evening games, and they'll take on Seattle. So Seattle having to play back-to-back games, which I don't know at this point in the season if it makes a lot of difference. What do you think, Eric?
I think it's almost beneficial.
Yeah.
You get to get into the game, especially if you're on a roll right away. You can carry that into the next game.
All right. Monday, Erie and the Sea Dogs go at it. That's going to be a huge game for the Sea Dogs right there. Eric had mentioned that. Tuesday, May 23rd, Seattle and the Sea Dogs, and then Wednesday, the Spitfires will take on the OHL champions, Erie Otters. And again, I think within the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to really have some games become those must-win type of games, Eric.
Well, definitely, and you're going to see that again, like I've mentioned before in the show, that every mistake is going to be magnified, and it's especially for teams that have a loss in their column already, that they're going to have to be ready to play, or else they could be going home early.
All right. Well, speaking of games, today we have one, as mentioned, at 3 o'clock out at the Windsor Family Credit Union Center. Seattle Thunderbirds taking on the Erie Otters. The Seattle Thunderbirds will have the home ice advantage in this game. Let's take a look at these two teams head-to-head, some of the numbers throughout the season. I know, Eric, you're extremely familiar with Erie. Let's key on Seattle for just a moment, if we can, Eric. And I think where you want to go right away with this, we were talking before getting on live here, their goaltending situation.
Definitely, and if you look at his age, he's a 16-year-old rookie.
Yes.
And in the regular season, he only had 7 games of experience. Unfortunately for Seattle, their number 1 goalie got hurt, and he had to carry the team all the way to the championship. And to do something like that at 16 years old, at a rookie, and if you look at his stats, he had great numbers with a .911 save percentage. He was outstanding. Obviously, this is a huge task for a kid, but he seems to be able to be coping with the pressure.
Yeah, and you look at Matthew Barzal. Of course, I think he's probably the go-to guy on this team, Eric. I mean, obviously, Gropp had great numbers, but Barzal, first-round pick of the Islanders.
I definitely would single out 2 players on this team with Barzal and Bear. Barzal, obviously a first-rounder to New York Islanders. As you can see, he almost had 2 points a game this year. He's not a prolific goal scorer, but he can set guys up and give them easy tap-ins. And when you look at Ethan Bear, a guy that was the WHL Defenseman of the Year, obviously his numbers are great. Somebody that can play not only offense, but as well as on the defensive side.
30-minute guy probably there, Eric?
Definitely a guy that, if you're Erie, you want to dump the puck into his corner and finish him.
Yeah, wear him down a little bit, absolutely. So in the playoffs, the numbers, again, you look at Bear, again, second in team scoring with 26, Barzal right behind him. But Kolesar obviously brought his game up to another level in the playoffs while finishing 4th in scoring in the regular season. Again, a pretty balanced team, I guess, Eric, but like you said, and I think that's a perfect way of describing it, not one of those teams that are flash and dash and have those stud players. It looks like a good collective group there.
Well, I think that their coach has them playing a team game. And if you look at their defense, they made 3 trades at this deadline to really make it older. And I find that teams that are championship teams have an older defense that can manage the mistakes that the forwards do. But if you look at just statistically of this team, they're not an offensively gifted teams that I've seen in the past. If you look at the London Knights of the worlds, and even in our case, we had a lot of guys that had a lot of points. So obviously they win by committee, and hopefully you'll see the way they play tonight.
Speaking of points, you look at that Erie lineup and you just go, oh my God, this team can put the points up. Alex Brinkett, what can you say about this guy? All he has ever done his entire hockey career, even as a minor player, is score goals. And this year he pots 65 in 63 games. Just scary out there.
He's a special talent, and he's somebody that if you give him even a half second, the puck could be in the back of your net, and you don't even know how it happened. He's obviously a special player. I believe 3 years in a row he got 50 or more goals. That's something that not too many players in the history of this league have ever done, or in the history of CHL. He's obviously somebody that Seattle's going to have to key in on. But if you go up and down this roster with both Radish, the defenseman, and the forward, both great players. You got Dylan Strome, who in 35 games had 75 points, which is outstanding. And then one of my favorite players, Anthony Cirelli, somebody that works both ends of the ice.
You know him very well from coaching in Oshawa, coaching that young man.
Exactly, and I've seen him grow as a player, and I'm not surprised with where he's at. He's obviously somebody that probably doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, but he's certainly probably one of the best players on this Erie team.
Dave Brown, the GM in Erie, made some key trades, Cirelli being one of them, Eric. You look at Warren Fogle as well, who he picked up. A lot of people, again, here's that player where you say, boy, he doesn't get a lot of the attention, but he's the kind of guy, that is the difference in teams winning championships, and I think he falls into that category. And then he went and picked up Timpano from Sudbury, the goaltender. I want to go to the goaltending here quickly because a lot of people saying maybe that's the weak link here with Erie. I say, nah, it's not, because nothing against Andrew Angelage. I thought he was a very competent goaltender for the Windsor Spitfires, but he didn't have to be spectacular, and he did his job very well. He made the saves he was supposed to make because you guys were so loaded everywhere else. I look at this Erie team the same way. They're loaded everywhere else. All Timpano has to do, and he's very capable of doing it, is just make the saves he's supposed to.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. I would say this Erie team is at par with the teams that I was fortunate enough to play on in Windsor.
I don't know about that, but they're a very good squad.
They're close. They got a team where if you have to pick a weakness, you're going to go after their goaltending. And again, it's not saying that the goaltending is a weakness. It's just something that you would definitely say is their weakest point of their game, which is wouldn't say a weakness.
All right, let's focus a little more on Seattle right now, if we can. Let's take a look at their road to the Cup. And again, everyone's picking Regina to win the Western Hockey League. So Regina gets into the finals with these guys, and it's Seattle coming away. But in the regular season, a very good regular season, 46-24-2. They finished fourth in the league, second in their division. Their playoff record, obviously, very, very strong at 16-4. They defeat the Tri-City Americans. Then they go against the Silvertips in Everett. Again, both sweeps there. Kelowna, which is an outstanding junior hockey organization, much like the Spitfires, always a quality program there. They win that series 4-2, and then they take care of Regina, who everyone's just like, this is the team to beat in the entire CHL, and they beat them in Game 6 in their own building to win the WHL.
Yeah, something that I was quite surprised as well. I think I speak for most people and that know junior hockey that Regina obviously was the team to beat. And it's unfortunate for them that they have all this hype and they've had a great year, a great playoffs, and for it to come to an abrupt end like that, I'm sure they're disappointed.
And you saw that they have 2 Memorial Cup appearances this year and also way back in 1992, just a couple of years ago, that they had a Memorial Cup appearance. Let's take a listen to Coach Steve Konowalchuk, his thoughts, and the rest of the guys about getting going here at the Mastercard Memorial Cup here in Windsor.
Well, I think a lot of that stuff you're talking about will probably play, especially with the 4 teams, and when you're away from the rink, you can think about it too much, or the players can think about it, and you're not going to be able to get away from that. But when you're in your locker room, you're with the same group of guys, and you hold the same kind of meetings, the same time you'd have your meetings, just really the same type of practice, and then I think it brings you back into it is the same game, and nothing changes, different teams. But you got to go out and play.
Yeah, there's a lot of great teams we played, and we played really great against them. Our team all season we've been relentless, and especially against Regina, going down 2 in the last 6 minutes, we just kept on battling and just stuck to the plan and became successful.
A lot of people were picking Regina to win this thing, the WHL, but when was it your team that you thought, you know what, we could do this? And was there a period in the season or even during the playoffs where you thought the team came together and really solidified what they could do?
I've always believed in our team. We're a great group of guys, and they work so hard. And I knew we had a chance, but it's pretty hard to look forward. Just pretty much one game at a time, I was thinking.
This is a quick turnaround for your team to come here and now have to get ready for this, and it's not a series anymore. It's one game at a time. How tough do you think that will be? And, of course, Coach Konowalchuk, I'm sure, will have you ready, but how tough is that?
Yeah, it's tough, but, we're just taking it game at a time again, and we've been through adversity this year, and I think we'll handle it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. Obviously, coming off an emotional win, beating Regina in 6 games. But we've turned the corner. We've turned our focus, and we're out to prove something here.
What did you learn about your team, Matt, going through that playoff run and beating a team like Regina? Was there something that stood out to you that really, I guess, obviously makes you proud, but gives you that chance to win here?
I think it's just a big confidence booster. They, Regina and Kelowna both have stacked rosters. They got a lot of big names on their team, so for us to beat those guys in a 7-game series, not just a 1-game elimination, was a huge confidence booster, and everybody's kind of on their playing their games and really found their role. So it's been a good turnaround.
Playing those teams and going in, obviously you were the underdogs in those series. How did you guys approach, and what was the rallying cry?
I don't know. I think it's nice that we have a ton of guys that are out to prove something. We only have 4 guys that are drafted, and I truly believe there's 9 or 10 guys that should be getting some serious consideration from NHL teams. So we got a lot of guys that are out to prove something here, and we want to win badly.
Shortest turnaround out of the 3 other teams that are coming into this, Matt. How tough will that be to put that WHL championship behind you and get focused and rolling on this one?
Yeah, like I said, I mean we've turned the corner. I think for maybe a day or two there, we're excited, and it's all sunshine and rainbows. But we've turned the page, and we're happy to be here. It might even play in our favor. Just other teams have had almost week 10 days off, so for us to kind of be coming off playing tough games, it could help us.
Erie Otters will be your first opponent, Matt. Obviously, I'm sure the coach is starting to talk about that a little bit. Anyways, what do you know about them? And they're the OHL champions. Good game to have right away for your team?
Yeah, great. Obviously, I've played with Dylan Strome and Taylor Radish, so know them pretty well. I actually played online with Ratty there for the World Juniors, and it's going to be competitive. I've talked to Stromer a little bit, just a little jab here and there, but it's all in good fun. We're both really competitive guys and want to win badly, so it's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, Dylan's used the World Juniors as a motivational tool. How about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, we went to the finals last year in the WHL and lost, so just kind of sick of finishing second. So it was nice to get a win and win the WHL. Obviously, our first goal, but we've moved on, and we want to win this now.
So there you have it from the Seattle Thunderbirds, Eric. Very kind of a quiet, low-key group. Again, not a lot of fanfare. They only have 4 NHL picks, which at this tournament is kind of rare. When you look at St. John last night, 11 NHL picks. I think when you guys were in the Cup, there was 9, 10 guys as well, including yourself, being NHL picks. This team, I think, is coming in maybe a little bit under the radar. Again, as we said, was not expected to be here. Maybe they're in a good spot that way.
Well, I definitely think so. It seems by listening to their coach that he's got the right mentality. Again, everything is the same for them. It's the same meeting times. It's the same meetings that they're having. Everything's the same other than the venue and the teams that you're playing. And I think that's one thing that the players must know, that, again, this is just another hockey game. There's going to be 3 periods played at 20 minutes. The same rules apply. Nothing changes, and it seems like he's had them focused, and they don't sometimes necessarily being arrogant or a lot of swagger can be detrimental to your team, especially if you get pounced on early by the opposition, because then all of a sudden you start disbelieving in yourself.
One team that has the right to be, I guess, somewhat not arrogant but confident and maybe a little swagger to strut is the Erie Otters, their opponent today. Seattle will have their hands full with this team, no question about it. This team, as we looked at the numbers early on, are loaded. And let's take a look at the Erie Otters, their road to this championship. Again, another 50-win season. I believe that's 4. Eric, correct me. I appreciate that. That's why he's here. Keep me in line. But 4 consecutive 50-win seasons. But they have never gotten to the Memorial Cup until this year, which, boy, talk about persistence. But look at league first, conference first, division first, playoff record. It was a tough road. Teams gave them fits, but they survived it. They would bend, but they would never break. So they defeated the Sting. London gave them a push. In fact, I think Game 7 was in overtime. They won it. Third round, Owen Sound, which I thought I was picking Owen Sound, and boy, Erie just found a way to really take care of that team. And then Mississauga in the final. So the Erie Otters, this is their first, I should say, their second appearance in the Memorial Cup. They were also at 2002. I believe that was in Guelph that year.
Yeah, Koliakovo and Brian Boyce.
Yep, exactly, because I had attended that Memorial Cup as well, and they had a fine team back then as well. So you look at the Otters, obviously this team pretty solid in all categories. Let's hear what they have to say about getting the Memorial Cup games going for their team this year.
The road here, the difficulty in getting here, can that help you through this tournament?
Oh, I think so. It just you have to get better. Whether your players have to play against tougher competition, or shut down roll, or getting checked where you have to create space, and also the coaches where you're trying to fight so much to get an edge, whether that's on your power play or an offensive zone face-off or whatever it is. You really have to be creative, and just because that one play might make the difference in the game.
Persistence has paid off for this team, though, Coach. You've been knocking on the door the last couple of years, and this year you get to the show, the Memorial Cup. How gratifying is it to, one, get here, and how much was the learning curve in the last couple of years to get you to this point?
Well, I think whether you've got a 20-win season or a championship team or one that loses in the final, I think you do a lot of learning throughout that process for coaches or players. And we learned a lot of lessons over the last 4 years, but to be able to win the championship on home ice was very gratifying.
That was pretty tough. We had a pretty hard conference getting through the Western Conference, and we played 3 hard teams in the West, and lucky enough we were able to pull through. And in the finals, Mississauga was no slouch. They're a tough team to play. They played us well, and we were lucky to come through with the win.
How tough was it for this team, being being so close for the last 3-4 years, the pressure that was built to really get over that hurdle this year?
Yeah, I guess people were kind of saying that didn't believe in us to do it since the last 2 years that I was here, and I guess 3 years in total. They had strong teams, just didn't come out on top. But yeah, this year we just stuck together and followed our game plan throughout the whole playoffs and the season, and it happened to work out well for us.
Was there at any point any doubt that came to mind, or what was the mindset like?
Yeah, we're always a hardworking team, and we never put ourselves down. We were down by big goals in many of the games in the playoffs, and we happened to come back in a lot of them. And even in the final game there, we were down 2 goals, and we came back and won at home ice. I don't really think there's a favorite. I feel like all 4 teams are going to be strong teams. We don't know too much about the Q team and the out west team, and we know a lot about Windsor. They're a strong team. They're going to be no slouch, and they're going to try to prove themselves in front of their home crowd, and they're going to be on their game, and they got all their guys back, so they're going to be ready to go.
How good will it feel to play some different competition, though, and how does that change maybe even your playing a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to be fun, honestly. You don't really get to see too much of the talent from the other leagues, but when you come to a thing like this, you get to play against all of it, and yeah, like I said, we don't know too much about them, but it'll be cool to see what they got.
More hit the ground running. You not really know what to expect with other teams you haven't played them before. So you could do some video on them and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you just got to focus on our team. Yeah, a little bit. But they got Stromer here, and he's an unbelievable captain. So he always puts his words in there. So it's his team. I just kind of in the background there. But we're all a tight group here. So everyone in the room saying stuff to further the team. Well, not really. They're all 3 unbelievable coaches that I was fortunate enough to be coached by. Like you said, DJ Smith, Bob Jones, and Chris Nalbuck here. So coming here wasn't really much of an adjustment. I knew Chris from World Juniors, so he's been unbelievable all year round.
Anthony Sorelli, you coached him in Oshawa. You know this young man very well. I was so impressed with his comment, because let's face it, he was kind of like the face in Oshawa. He took over that leadership role with all the other guys moving on, and he gets traded to Erie, and he says it. This is Dylan's team. I'm here to support. Well, that's a team guy.
He's an outstanding kid. I can't say enough about him, as not only his personality, his character, his determination to win the hockey games, and in this case, on this team, I would say he's second in command. it is Dylan Strome's team. He is the captain. He's been there the longest. And for Anthony, he's just the guy that's going to guide them to the right path. And I think if you've looked throughout these playoffs and the regular season that he was there for, he's certainly done his part in helping them get over that hump that they've been striving to get over.
Not a bad guy to have as a supporting cast member, for sure. When you have a leader, really, as a supporting cast member, that's some depth.
Well, exactly, and that's why you win. That's how the championship team is developed. You have these guys that come in that are leaders as well, and they understand their role on their new team and where they fit. And I have countless examples from the teams that I had.
Yes.
And if you look at Ben Schutron and Timmins that got traded from Kitchener, who again were leaders on that team. And it's not that they took a back seat by no means, that they take a back seat, but there was definitely the leadership group in our team that was a charge of that group, and obviously they fit right into it. But in saying that, Anthony, just like those two guys I just mentioned, are key pieces in getting you to the championship.
People that are betting on this game today, Welly, in Vegas, they got the big board there, things like that. I'm going Erie today. I think it's going to probably be about a 4-1 score. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I would be picking Erie too if I was allowed to bet.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're not allowed to bet. We're
I'm
not betting guys.
Not that I'm a bettor, but definitely I'd be picking Erie, and it's no disrespect to Seattle. Again, I don't know them as well, the Seattle team. I haven't been fortunate enough to watch them play as many games as I have Erie, but Erie's definitely probably the strongest team in this tournament. Yep.
All right, good stuff, Willie. Before we let you go, the Dave Brown interview, we're going to save it for tomorrow's show because we're a little long here today. But we do want to give you a quick update. The schedule again that's going to take place the rest of the week here as we continue our coverage of the Mastercard Memorial Cup. Spitfires win yesterday. Erie, Seattle today. Spitfires, Seattle tomorrow, 7 o'clock game. Erie again and the Sea Dogs on Monday. On Tuesday, Seattle and the Sea Dogs. Wednesday, the Spitfires and the Otters. I think that's going to be just a dandy hockey game. Thursday, of course, is the tiebreaker game, if needed. We'll see how that works. And then Friday is the semifinal game. Saturday is the CHL alumni game. You can't. Are you able to play in that?
Yeah,
You're able to play in that, Eric? Okay, good. Well, I didn't know if the leg was able to.
We'll
awesome.
push the leg.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. That's great. I'd love to see you play again because I always loved watching you play. And then Sunday, of course, there's this thing called the Memorial Cup Final. It's a championship game. No big deal, right, Eric?
Just another hockey game.
Just another hockey game. Yeah. Right. Okay. Eric Wellwood, you're awesome. Thanks for the help today. And Eric's a really busy man this week with a lot of commitments with the Memorial Cup and other things he has going on. But he has promised me that if he can find some time, he's going to join us again here on our presentation of the recap show. So we will look forward to that, Eric. Thank you again today. Enjoy the game. And that's it for us from the WeTV studio, the Mastercard Memorial Cup recap show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you at the rink. Until then, this is Domenic Papa wishing you a great day.